My mom used my college fund for my brother's vacation. Now she's begging me to pay her bills. There was a time when I believed my mother had my best interests at heart. She always told me that hard work was the key to success, that I needed to focus on school, keep my grades up, and plan for my future. She made me believe that she was on my side, that when the time came, my college fund would be there waiting for me, a reward for all the effort I had put in. I was a fool. The first time I asked about it was in my senior year of high school. "Hey Mom, how do I access the college fund? I need to start applying for tuition payments soon." She barely looked up from her phone, scrolling through Facebook like it was the most important thing in the world. "Oh, sweetheart, we'll talk about it later." Later never came. At first I wasn't worried. I had no reason to be. She had promised me. I had spent my entire life believing her when she said the money was there, waiting for me, that I was set. But when I pushed, when I finally demanded answers, her entire demeanor changed. She sighed dramatically like I was burdening her. "Well, it's gone." I blinked. "Gone?" She set her phone down, suddenly avoiding my gaze. "It was used for other things." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What things?" She hesitated. Then, as if it was the most natural thing in the world, she said, "Your brother needed it." I stared at her, waiting for her to realize how insane that sounded. She didn't. "Needed it for what?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. She had the audacity to roll her eyes like I was being dramatic. "His trips, his expenses. You know he doesn't have a stable job yet. And when he wanted to take that European vacation last summer, he didn't have the money, so—" I stopped listening. I could barely breathe. Every single hour I had spent studying, every late night I had stayed up doing assignments, every sacrifice I had made to keep my grades high, it had all been for nothing. Because my college fund, the money meant to build my future, had been spent on my brother's vacations. And my mother? She didn't even feel bad. "You should understand," she had said when I finally found my voice, when I screamed, when I asked her how the hell she could do this to me. Family helps family. But apparently family only meant him, never me. I should have given up right then. I should have accepted that the world wasn't fair, that my own mother had robbed me blind, and that I wasn't going to have the same opportunities as other kids. But I wasn't like my brother. I wasn't handed things. So I fought. I took out student loans. I worked shifts at a diner during the day and cleaned offices at night. I scraped my way through school, barely sleeping, barely living. I watched kids who had their parents' support breeze through college while I ran myself into the ground just to afford textbooks. And my mother? She never once apologized, never once acknowledged what she had done to me. In fact, she acted like I was being selfish for even holding a grudge. "Why are you still mad about that?" she would ask, laughing like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "You still got your degree, didn't you? Like my suffering didn't matter. Like my debt wasn't her fault. And my brother, he never even thanked me. Because in his mind, he had done nothing wrong. In his mind, he deserved the money more than I did. So I let them go. I cut myself off from the family that never saw me as one of their own. I built my own life. I worked my way up, paid off my loans, became successful without them. And just when I thought I was finally free, she came back. It started with a text. "Hey sweetheart, hope you're doing well. We should talk." I ignored it. A week later, "I miss you. I was hoping we could reconnect." I ignored that too. Then finally, the truth. "I need your help." There it was. The real reason she was reaching out. She didn't miss me. She didn't want to reconnect. She was broke, and she wanted me to fix it. I didn't respond. So she called. And like an idiot, I answered, "Mom." My voice was cold. "Sweetheart," she breathed, her voice thick with fake emotion. "I've been thinking about you so much lately. I'm so proud of you. You know that? Look at everything you've accomplished. I didn't buy it. What do you want?" A pause. Then, the act dropped. She sighed dramatically. "I won't lie to you. I'm in a tough spot. Money is tight." I let her talk, let her go on about bills, debts, how the economy was hard, how she was just a struggling mother trying to survive. She went on for 5 minutes before she finally said it. "I need your help." "What kind of help?" I asked, knowing damn well what she meant. "Financial," she admitted. "I need support. Just something small every month." "You're doing so well, sweetheart. You wouldn't even miss the money." I laughed. A real, bitter, sharp laugh. Kind of like how I wouldn't miss my college fund. Silence. Then, stiffly, "That was a long time ago." I leaned back, gripping the phone, feeling my rage simmering. "You stole from me. You took my future and gave it to him. And now you want me to save you?" She sniffled. "I was trying to keep our family together." "No," I corrected. "You were trying to keep him comfortable. You were trying to make sure he never had to struggle. And you did that by throwing me away." "I did what I thought was best," she snapped. "No," I said again. "You did what was easiest. And now you get to live with that choice." She started crying, begging, saying things like, "I'm your mother, and you can't turn your back on me." But I just smiled, because I finally had power, and I wasn't going to waste it. "You said something to me once," I said calmly, cutting through her fake tears. "Do you remember?" What?" she stammered. "You told me family helps family." A pause. A shaky breath. "Yes, exactly. That's why I—" "And where is he?" I cut in. "Where is my brother? Why isn't he helping you?" Dead silence. I smirked. "Let him take care of you." She gasped. "He doesn't have money. Not my problem. But goodbye, Mom." I hung up, blocked her number, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. She made her choice years ago. Now she could live with it. I had the power to say no, and it felt good. I had spent years being treated like an afterthought, a resource to be drained when convenient, a shadow to my brother's golden glow. My mother had never hesitated to take from me, never thought twice about stealing my future to fund his comfort, his luxury. Now, she was finally feeling the consequences of those choices, and I wasn't going to save her. But, of course, she wasn't done yet. I expected her to lash out after that final call, to scream, curse me, to tell me I was ungrateful after everything she had done for me. But she didn't. Instead, she played her next card, sympathy. The first sign came in the form of a Facebook post, a vague, carefully crafted message designed to make her look like the suffering, abandoned mother and me like the cold-hearted child who had turned my back on family. It's heartbreaking when the people you love the most forget what family really means. I never thought I'd be left behind after everything I've sacrificed. The comments came fast. "Stay strong, Mama. You don't deserve this." Some kids are so ungrateful these days. A mother's love is unconditional. Shame on them for not helping you. I laughed, out loud. Because these people, her friends, her distant relatives, strangers who knew nothing about our history, they had no idea who she really was. They didn't know how she had treated me, how she had used me, and they never would, because my mother was a master of manipulation. She didn't tell them about my stolen college fund. She didn't tell them how she had prioritized my brother's vacations, designer clothes, and lazy lifestyle over my education. She didn't tell them how I had spent years struggling alone while she never once lifted a finger to help me. No, she played the victim. And worse, she had recruited backup. Within hours, my phone started buzzing. First, it was an aunt I hadn't spoken to in years. "I heard about your mother's situation. How could you do this to her?" Then a cousin. "Wow, she's your mom. You seriously can't help her a little?" Then my uncle. "This is embarrassing. Family takes care of family. You're doing well. Why not share the wealth?" The audacity. These people had never cared about me. They weren't there when I was working double shifts just to afford groceries. They didn't help when I was drowning in student loan debt, exhausted beyond words. But now that my mother needed money, suddenly, they all had something to say. I took my time crafting my response. Then, finally, I replied to my aunt's message with a single question. "Where were you when she stole my college fund?" She never responded. One by one, I started replying to each message, asking variations of the same thing. "Where were you when I was struggling? Why didn't you care when she threw me away? Why is it only family when she needs money?" Silence. They had nothing to say to that, because the truth was ugly, and they didn't want to face it. I knew it was only a matter of time before my brother tried to get involved. And sure enough, a few days later, I got a text from him. "We need to talk." I considered ignoring it, but I was curious. So I answered, "About what?" His response was instant. "Mom, you need to help her." I nearly choked on my drink. "Excuse me? She's struggling. It's bad. You're doing well. She's your mother. Just help her." Just help her. Like it was that simple. Like I should forget everything she had done and just fix her mistakes. I took a slow breath, then typed out my reply. "You mean like how she helped me when she stole my college fund for your vacations?" No response, so I kept going. "You mean like how she helped me when I was working 2 jobs just to survive and she didn't care?" Still nothing. So I hit him with the final blow. "If you care so much, you help her." That did it. His next message came fast, defensive, angry. "I can't help her. I don't have money like you do." I smiled. There it was, the real reason he was suddenly pretending to care. My brother had been coddled his entire life, given everything, never had to struggle, never had to learn responsibility. And now that Mom wasn't able to support him anymore, he was panicking. He wasn't trying to help her. He was trying to keep himself afloat, and I was supposed to fix it. I stared at the screen for a long moment before I finally responded. "Not my problem." Then I blocked his number. A week passed. Then another. The guilt campaign failed. The relatives stopped messaging. And just when I thought my mother had finally given up, she called me. One last time. I let the phone ring. Then, at the last second, I answered. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Is this really how you're going to be?" she snapped, her voice sharp with frustration. "How am I being, Mom?" I asked, my tone calm. "Cruel, selfish." I smiled. "Like you?" Silence. She exhaled sharply. "I made mistakes, all right? But I did what I thought was best for our family." "No," I said, my voice turning ice cold. "You did what was best for him. You never thought about me. I loved you both." "No, you loved having a golden child. You loved playing favorites. And now that your favorite is useless, you expect me to pick up the pieces?" She said nothing, because she knew I was right. I let the silence stretch before delivering the final blow. "You made your choices, Mom. Now, you get to live with them." Then, without another word, I hung up. And this time, I never answered her calls again. I never spoke to her again. I never spoke to my brother. I never spoke to the family that only remembered I existed when they needed something from me. And you know what? I didn't miss them. I built a life that was truly mine, one that no one could take from me, one where I was finally, completely free. And my mother? The last I heard, she was still struggling, still begging for help, still waiting for someone to save her. But it wouldn't be me. Because she had already stolen my future once, I wasn't going to let her do it again. The silence was everything I needed. After that final call, after I hung up on my mother for the last time, I expected some lingering guilt, some whisper of doubt telling me I had made the wrong decision, that I should have been the bigger person, that I should have saved her. But it never came. Instead, there was peace. I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. No more sacrificing my future for people who never cared about mine. No more rescuing the same person who had stolen from me. No more fixing the consequences of her own selfish choices. My mother had made her decisions a long time ago, and now she was living with them. I knew it wasn't over. Not yet. Because my mother wasn't the type to accept defeat easily. She had spent years manipulating, guilting, and controlling me into submission. She wasn't going to just let me go. The next month was filled with her last-ditch efforts. At first, she tried pity. "I'm your mother. I raised you. Do I mean nothing to you?" Then, shame. "People are talking, you know. Everyone says you abandoned me. Do you really want to be known as the kid who left his own mother to suffer?" Then, anger. "You think you're better than me now? You think your money makes you untouchable? Just wait. One day you'll need me and I won't be there." I didn't respond. Not to any of it. I had played this game before, and I was done playing. It took 3 months for my mother to finally understand. 3 months of unanswered calls. 3 months of getting no sympathy from the family members who once blindly defended her, only to realize I wasn't coming back. 3 months of watching the golden child, her favorite, do nothing to save her. I heard from an old neighbor that she had downsized to a rundown apartment after failing to keep up with the mortgage. I heard from a cousin that she had tried reaching out to my brother again, begging him to step up, to help, to take responsibility for her the way she had always done for him. And I heard that he had blocked her number, just like I had. She was finally alone. She had built her entire life around Ethan, showering him with love, with money, with everything he ever wanted at my expense. And now he had discarded her, just like she had once discarded me. Karma had come, and I hadn't even needed to lift a finger. The only reason I agreed to see her one last time was because I needed to see it for myself. I didn't go to her. She came to me. She showed up at my workplace, sitting in the lobby of my office building, waiting for me. For a moment, I considered walking right past her, pretending I didn't see her, ignoring her the way she had once ignored my suffering. But I didn't. I walked over, sat across from her in the small, impersonal waiting area, and when I looked at her, I didn't see my mother anymore. I saw a woman who had lost everything. Her clothes, once expensive and carefully chosen, were now plain and unremarkable. Her makeup, always done to perfection, was faded, smudged. And her eyes, they were filled with something I had never seen before. Regret. She took a slow breath. "I don't have anyone left," she said softly. I didn't respond. "I know I hurt you," she continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I know I made mistakes." Mistakes. That word felt so small compared to what she had done to me. She hadn't made mistakes. She had made choices. She swallowed, looking down at her hands. "I don't know how to fix this." For a brief moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered. I remembered the years I had spent suffering alone, the loans I had taken out because of her betrayal, the times I had gone hungry while working double shifts to afford a future she had stolen from me, and the way she had never, not once, looked at me the way she was looking at me now. "You can't fix this," I said calmly. Her eyes shot up. "What?" I leaned back in my seat, exhaling slowly. "You can't fix this, Mom. You can't undo it. You can't take it back, and I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." She flinched. "I just need a little help," she whispered. "And I just needed my college fund," I said coldly. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I stood up. "I hope you find a way to survive," I said simply. "But it won't be through me." Her breath hitched. "Please," she begged, "don't do this. I'm still your mother." I tilted my head, studying her carefully. "You were my mother when you stole from me. You were my mother when you threw me aside for Ethan. You were my mother when you laughed at my struggles, dismissed my pain, and never once cared how I was doing." I let the words sink in. Then, finally, "But now you're just someone I used to know." I turned, and for the last time, I walked away from her. She didn't chase me. She didn't call my name, because she finally understood. This was over, and she had no one to blame but herself. Months passed, then years, and with every passing day, my mother became less of a memory and more of a lesson about trust, a lesson about who truly deserves your love. I built a life that she had no part in, a life where my success wasn't stolen or manipulated, a life that I earned. And my mother? She became a ghost, an echo of the past, a cautionary tale about what happens when you bet on the wrong child. She had spent her entire life choosing my brother over me, and when she needed him most, he was nowhere to be found, because she had raised him to be exactly like her, selfish, entitled, and completely incapable of standing on his own. So in the end, she got what she deserved. She had built her world around him, and when it all came crashing down, he let her fall. And I never looked back, because I had my own future now, and it was mine, and mine alone. My mom used my birthday money to buy my brother gifts. Now she's shocked. I stopped celebrating with them. I used to love my birthday, not because of the gifts or the money tucked into cards from distant relatives, but because for one day, just one, I thought I mattered. I thought it was a day when I wasn't invisible, when I wasn't second place, when I wasn't just the afterthought in my own home. I told myself that this time, maybe this year, it would be different. But it never was. Year after year, the pattern repeated itself like a cruel joke I hadn't yet learned to stop falling for. My aunts, uncles, grandparents, they'd hand me crisp bills folded neatly into envelopes, patting my head and saying something about how I should get myself something nice. Sometimes they'd bring gifts, wrapped in colorful paper, topped with ribbons that shimmered under the light. And for a few moments, I would feel special, my heart swelling with anticipation. But then, like clockwork, the gifts would disappear before I even had a chance to open them. The money? Gone without explanation. And then, a few days later, my younger brother Ethan would have something new. A brand new gaming console, expensive sneakers, a limited edition collectible he had been whining about for weeks. At first, I didn't make the connection. I was a child, naive enough to believe in fairness, in the idea that parents loved their children equally. But then, I started noticing things. I started noticing how my mother would always deflect when I asked about the missing money, how she'd wave her hand dismissively and say, I had to use it for something else. I noticed how she would never give me a straight answer, how she would get irritated when I pressed, telling me I was too old to care about silly little presents. I noticed how Ethan never had to ask for anything, how his desires were always met without question, while mine were treated like an inconvenience. And then, finally, one year, when I was about 12, I confronted her. It was after my birthday party, a modest gathering at home, with a homemade cake and a few relatives stopping by. As usual, I had been given money, and this time I decided I wasn't going to let it disappear. I kept it close, holding on to it like a lifeline, determined to spend it on something I actually wanted. But that night, while I slept, it was taken from me. I woke up to find my nightstand empty, the envelope that had held my birthday money missing. My stomach dropped. I tore through my room, searching for something I already knew I wouldn't find. And then, with a sickening sense of dread, I walked into the living room, where my mother sat casually on the couch, sipping her morning coffee. "Mom," I said, my voice unsteady. "Where's my money?" She didn't even look up. "It's been taken care of." I felt something tighten in my chest. What does that mean? She finally glanced at me, her expression unreadable. Ethan needed some things. For a moment, I just stared at her, the words struggling to register. "You took my birthday money and gave it to Ethan?" She exhaled, as if I was being difficult. He needed new shoes, and that game he wanted. It was on sale. It just made sense to use it for that. My fingers curled into fists, but it was mine. She frowned, her voice taking on that familiar condescending tone. "Don't be selfish. You're older. You should understand." Something inside me cracked then. Not just because she had taken the money, not just because she had prioritized Ethan over me again, but because she didn't even think it was wrong. She expected me to accept it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand why she kept doing this, why Ethan always came first, why I was never allowed to have anything of my own. But I already knew what she would say. "You're overreacting. It's just money. You'll get over it." So instead, I did the only thing I could. I turned and walked away. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just stopped expecting anything. And that was the year I stopped celebrating my birthday with them. At first, they didn't notice. I stopped asking for gifts, stopped talking about my birthday at all. When the day came, I would go through the motions, letting my mother bake a cake, letting Ethan blow out the candles as if it was his day, letting them pretend that it was normal. But when I turned 18, I didn't even bother showing up. I spent my birthday with friends instead, people who actually cared. I treated myself to dinner, bought myself a gift with the money I had saved, and I felt like my birthday actually belonged to me. That was when my mother started to notice. That was when she started asking why I wasn't coming home, why I was abandoning family traditions, why I was acting like a stranger. That was when she started getting offended. She called me on my 19th birthday. her voice dripping with feigned concern. "Honey, we didn't see you today. I had a cake ready for you and everything. Why didn't you come home?" I held my phone tighter, swallowing the sharp reply that sat on my tongue. Because my birthday has never been mine. Because I don't want to sit at that table and watch you hand Ethan another gift while pretending I don't exist. Instead, I simply said, "I was busy." She made a disappointed noise. "Too busy for your family?" A bitter taste filled my mouth. Family. She meant them, not me. Never me. I didn't answer. Now, years later, my absence had become an undeniable fact. Every year she called. Every year she tried to guilt-trip me. Every year she acted shocked that I no longer wanted to play along. And now, as I stared at yet another text from her, "Come home this year. We miss you. Stop being so distant." I felt nothing but exhaustion. She still didn't understand. She still thought I was the one who had changed, that I was the one being difficult. She still refused to acknowledge what she had done, what she had taken from me. And I knew I had a choice to make. I could confront her, force her to face the truth she had spent years denying. I could set boundaries, make it clear that I was done being the forgotten child. The second choice, the one who was always expected to give up everything without complaint. Or I could walk away completely. Let her feel for once what it was like to be ignored, to be the one left behind. Because after all these years, I finally understood something. She wasn't shocked that I had stopped celebrating with them. She was shocked that I had finally learned to celebrate without them. The phone buzzed again, rattling against the wooden nightstand, the glow of the screen illuminating the dim room. Another text, another attempt, another desperate grasp at a connection that no longer existed. "Mom, answer my calls. We need to talk." I stared at the message for a long time, debating whether I should even acknowledge it. The words felt hollow, a script she had rehearsed for years, carefully crafted to shift the blame onto me. As if I was the one who had walked away for no reason. As if I had forgotten them, instead of simply refusing to let them keep using me. The past had taught me better. I set the phone down, my fingers twitching with restrained frustration. I had already told myself, again and again, that I was done letting her pull me back in, that I wasn't obligated to play my role as the overlooked child, the one who was expected to sacrifice, to step aside, to always be the bigger person. And yet, there was still a part of me, buried deep, that wanted something from her. A real apology, maybe, an acknowledgement of what she had done, a moment of clarity where she finally saw me, really saw me, as someone who had been hurt, dismissed, forgotten. But I knew better than to expect it. A sharp knock at my apartment door made me flinch. I turned, heart hammering. It was late, too late for visitors. My mind immediately jumped to the worst possibilities. Maybe it was Ethan, smug and entitled, ready to lecture me about how Mom was upset and how I was being selfish for not coming home. Or worse, maybe it was her. I hesitated, debating whether to ignore it. Another knock, more insistent this time. With a sigh, I pushed myself up from the couch and crossed the room, unlocking the door and pulling it open. And of course, it was her. My mother stood in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes filled with something sharp and unreadable. She was dressed neatly as always, hairstyled, makeup applied just enough to make her look put together but not excessive. She had always cared about appearances. Even now, standing at my door, uninvited, she still had the audacity to act as if I was the one inconveniencing her. I didn't step aside. I didn't greet her. We stood there for a moment, locked in a silent standoff. "You're ignoring me," she finally said, her voice cool but laced with irritation. I leaned against the doorframe, unimpressed. "And?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You didn't come home again this year? Do you think that's fair?" A laugh bubbled up in my throat, bitter and sharp. "Fair?" I repeated. "You want to talk about fair?" She exhaled, clearly trying to control her frustration. "I'm not here to argue." "Then why are you here?" She shifted, her weight moving from one foot to the other. "Because this has gone on long enough. You're acting childish. You're shutting us out over something that happened years ago." My grip on the doorframe tightened. The way she said it, something that happened years ago, like it was a minor inconvenience, an insignificant mistake, like it hadn't been a constant, repeated betrayal throughout my entire childhood. I let out a slow breath. "So, that's why you're here? To tell me I'm being dramatic?" She sighed, tilting her head in exasperation. "I'm here because we're family, and you shouldn't be throwing that away over some birthday money." And there it was. Some birthday money. Not years of neglect. Not the constant favoritism. Not the fact that I had spent my entire life being treated like I didn't matter. To her, it was just money. It was just a misunderstanding. It was just another thing I was supposed to forgive without question. I shook my head, a humorless chuckle escaping me. "You still don't get it, do you?" She frowned. "Get what?" "That it was never about the money." My voice was steady now, sharper. "It was about what it meant. About what you made clear over and over again. That Ethan always came first. That I was never supposed to ask for anything, never supposed to expect anything. That my birthdays were just an excuse for you to get him more presents." She let out an irritated sigh, as if she had already decided that I was being unreasonable. "I didn't favor him." I gave her a pointed look. "Then where did my birthday money go, Mom?" She stiffened. I pressed on. "Every year family gave me money, and every year it disappeared. And then, like magic, Ethan had a new gaming console, a new toy, a new something, every single time. And every time I asked about it, you told me I was being selfish for even questioning it." She didn't answer. Instead, she looked away, jaw tightening. And that was when I realized something. She wasn't just defensive. She was guilty. Not just in the way someone feels guilty about making a mistake, but in the way someone feels guilty about something they knew was wrong and did anyway. "You knew exactly what you were doing," I said quietly. She tensed. Did Dad know?" I cut in, suddenly needing to know if this was something they had done together, or if it had just been her. She hesitated, and in that split second of silence, I had my answer. Dad hadn't known. This had been her. My stomach twisted. "Why?" I whispered, more to myself than to her. "Why did you do it?" She exhaled slowly, rubbing her temples. "Ethan needed things." My chest tightened. "And I didn't?" She finally met my gaze, and there was something there I hadn't seen before. Not just guilt, not just frustration, fear. And suddenly, I knew. This wasn't just about favoritism. This wasn't just about her seeing Ethan as the golden child. There was something deeper here, something worse. I stepped forward, my voice calm but unyielding. "What aren't you telling me?" She flinched, and that reaction alone told me I had struck something real. "You're imagining things," she muttered, but her voice lacked conviction. I took another step closer. "No, I'm not. What is it? What aren't you saying?" Her hands clenched at her sides, her entire body tense. She looked genuinely unsettled. And then she said, barely above a whisper, "It wasn't just for Ethan." The room felt colder. I stared at her, my pulse pounding. "What?" She exhaled sharply, looking away as if saying the words out loud might make them worse. "I didn't just use your birthday money for him. I used it to cover other things." My mind raced. What other things? Bills? Debt? Something worse? I could see it now, the way her shoulders hunched, the way her lips pressed into a thin, almost pained line. She was holding something back, something big, something that had the potential to change everything. And suddenly, I wasn't just angry anymore. I was terrified. Because whatever secret she was keeping, it was about to unravel. The weight of my mother's words hung thick in the air, pressing down on the space between us. It wasn't just for Ethan. A dozen possibilities raced through my mind, each more unsettling than the last. My breath felt tight in my chest, my heart hammering as I studied the way she avoided my eyes, the way her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sleeve. She had always been good at playing composed, at keeping her mask in place. But now I could see the cracks forming. "Then what was it for?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. She shook her head, exhaling slowly, as if she were trying to delay the inevitable. "It doesn't matter now." I took a step closer, my pulse pounding. "It matters to me." Her jaw tightened. "I was just doing what I had to do. You wouldn't understand." I let out a humorless laugh. "Try me." She hesitated, her lips parting as if she were about to say something, then stopped herself. A flicker of something, remorse, shame, crossed her face. But it wasn't enough. "I deserve to know the truth," I said, my voice unwavering. She inhaled sharply as if bracing herself. And then, finally, she spoke. "I was paying off a debt," she admitted. "A big one." My stomach twisted. "Debt?" She nodded stiffly. "Your father. He never knew. I kept it from him. I had no choice." I stared at her, my mind spinning. "What kind of debt?" She bit her lip, her gaze flickering toward the floor. "It wasn't just bills, all right? It wasn't like we were behind on rent or utilities. It was gambling." The word hit me like a punch to the gut. "You?" I whispered, disbelief lacing my tone. She nodded, her hands trembling slightly. "I didn't mean for it to get out of control. It started small, just scratch tickets at first, then betting on things here and there. But then one day, I lost more than I could afford, and I thought I could win it back. But I didn't." She laughed, but it was hollow, empty. I just kept digging myself deeper. I swallowed hard, a bitter taste rising in my throat. "So you stole from me to cover your losses." She flinched at the word stole, but she didn't deny it. "At first I told myself I'd pay it back," she murmured. "That I'd take a little, just a little, and when I won again, I'd put it all back. But that win never came, and then Ethan needed things, and I—" She cut herself off, shaking her head. "It was easier to justify using it for him. It made me feel like I wasn't just wasting it. I felt like I was going to be sick. All those years I had thought she was just favoring Ethan, that she had chosen to put him first because he was the golden child. But in reality, she had been hiding behind him. She had been using him as an excuse. She wasn't taking my money for him. She was using him to cover up what she had already done." My voice came out cold. "Did Ethan even know?" She shook her head quickly. "No, he had no idea. I never told him where it came from." I laughed, but it was bitter, sharp. "Of course, because that would mean admitting what you did." She looked at me then, her eyes pleading. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," I snapped, my anger rising again. "And not just once, not just one bad decision. You did it over and over again, and you let me think it was because you loved him more. You let me believe that I wasn't good enough." She swallowed hard. I was scared. I didn't know how to stop. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the hurricane of emotions swirling inside me. "And what now? Are you still gambling?" She hesitated for half a second too long. My chest tightened. "You are." She looked away. "I've tried to quit." I let out a harsh breath. "So, what happens next time you need money?" She flinched at that, her silence speaking louder than words. I shook my head. "That's why you want me to come home so badly, isn't it? It's not about missing me. It's not about family. You just want me back in your life so you can have access to me again." Her eyes widened. "No, it's not like that." "Isn't it?" I countered, my voice sharp. "Because now that I think about it, every time you call, every time you text, it's not because you want to talk. It's because you need something." Her face crumpled. "That's not true." I cut her off. "Did you ever love me the way you loved Ethan?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. The hesitation was all the answer I needed. I swallowed down the lump in my throat, nodding slowly. "That's what I thought." Her face twisted with panic. "Please don't say that. I do love you. I always have." I met her gaze, searching for something, anything, that felt real. But all I saw was regret, not for what she had done, but for the fact that she had been caught. And that was when I knew. She wasn't going to change. She wasn't going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly become the mother I had needed all along. She wasn't going to fix the damage she had done, because in her mind, it was just money. It was just a mistake. It was just another thing that I was supposed to forgive and move past. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. I exhaled slowly, my decision settling into place. "I think we're done here." She blinked, her breath catching. "What?" I stepped back, putting more distance between us. "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep waiting for you to see me, to treat me like I matter. I can't keep pretending that this family is anything but broken. Tears welled in her eyes. You don't mean that. I gave her a sad, tired smile. I do. She reached for me, but I took another step back. I spent my whole life waiting for you to choose me, to love me the way you loved Ethan, to see me the way a mother should see her child. But you never did, and now, I'm done waiting. Her breath hitched. I can change. I will change. I shook my head. No, Mom. You had years to change, and you chose not to. Her shoulders slumped, her face crumpling in devastation. But I didn't feel bad. Not anymore. I turned toward the door, gripping the handle. Goodbye, Mom. She choked out a sob. Please don't go. But I already had, and I wasn't coming back. In the weeks that followed, I ignored every call, every message, every desperate attempt to pull me back in. And each time I hit delete, each time I let the phone ring without answering, it became easier. Because the truth was, I had already spent my whole life waiting for a mother who had never truly been mine. And now I was done waiting. Now I was finally living for me.